I'm Aaron Rutten, and today I'll be drawing a subject that makes me uncomfortable while sharing a scary story from my childhood. On an early evening in the summer of 1992, I walked alone to the drugstore that was behind my house and across the street. It was just getting dark, and that always got my imagination going. Unfortunately for me, I'd sometimes imagine things that frightened me. I wasn't afraid of the dark, I was afraid of what I would sometimes see in the dark. I've always had a vivid imagination, and if the circumstances were right, a shadow that looked like a creature was enough to terrify me. It was a short trip to the store. I'd done it before. I think I was going to buy some snacks and then meet my friend who lived a few houses over from me and spend the night at his house. He was the middle-class only child who had all of the toys, board games, and video games that kids like me didn't have. It was going to be a fun night of staying up late and playing Super Nintendo. I crossed the street, made my way through the shopping center parking lot, and went into the store. It was a chain drugstore, similar to Rite Aid or Walgreens, in a small shopping center. I found the snacks I was looking for, and made my way to the checkout line. As I waited in line, something caught my eye. There on the cover of Weekly World News was "Bat Child Found in Cave with the Shrieking Face of a Half-Bat, Half-Child." At the time, I didn't fully understand that the Weekly World News was not real news, and far from it. I didn't know about photo doctoring. This is before Photoshop. I was fixed on the image. I struggled for a short time to try to make sense of what I was looking at. Part of me knew it couldn't possibly be real, but it sure looked real. Maybe it wasn't a half-bat, half-child, but could it be a boy like me with a deformity? I would later learn that the Bat Child character is said to have been born in 1982, the same year I was born. I didn't know it at the time, but the boy I was looking at was supposedly the same age as me. I felt sad for the child, but I was also instantly terrified. It abruptly changed my mood, and as I exited the store, it seemed darker outside. Now I was spooked, and I just wanted to get to my friend's house quickly. I hurried through the shopping center parking lot, all the while imagining that the Bat Child was somewhere, out there. There was a busy street to cross, so I had to wait until it was safe to pass. As I waited, I couldn't resist thinking about the Bat Child's gaping mouth and sharp teeth. Those had to be for biting faces and drinking blood. Finally, it was time to cross the street. Up until this point, there were people around me, the parking lot was well illuminated, but now, as I entered the quiet residential street I lived on, it was much darker, and I was alone. I could see my friend's house beneath a dim street lamp in the distance, but to get there, I had to pass a stretch of several houses that were in relative darkness. I knew that would be the place I'd be most likely to see the Bat Child. So I hurried through. It was no use. My imagination was out of control. Thoughts of the Bat Child intensified. I could see its face. I could hear its shrill cries for blood inside my head. Suddenly, I got a rush of adrenaline. I took off running. I passed by one of the dark houses where there was a short tree in the yard next to the street. All I could see was the black silhouette of the tree as I ran beside it, but I could see something more. Before I could react, something dropped down from the tree and let out a high-pitched shriek. It was the Bat Child! I nearly jumped out of my skin. I quickly recognized that it was not the Bat Child, it was my friend who I was on my way to meet, who, by the way, had no idea I had just seen the Bat Child image. He was confused about why I was frightened. I think he expected me to be surprised, but not scared. I don't recall if I told him about the Bat Child. I think I just wanted to forget about it and put the Bat Child out of my mind. The whole event really was a strange coincidence because I don't recall my friend ever trying to scare or surprise me at any point before or after that night. It was out of character for him. And the fact that he chose to swoop down from a tree and shriek like a bat just makes it even more of a strange coincidence. After that night, it didn't take long for me to become more skeptical of the images around me. I rationalized that the Bat Child was just a hoax and moved on. Obviously, the experience didn't terrify me to the point of being afraid of being outside in the dark. I continued to walk to the store alone. I don't have a phobia of bats. But it was a moment I'll always remember. To this day, I still feel disturbed when I look at an image of the Bat Child. As someone who is now experienced in using Photoshop, I can clearly see that the Bat Child image was created by someone to sell magazines and does not depict a real boy. Nevertheless, it still doesn't sit right with me. I spent about 4 hours painting the Bat-Child from reference, and in that time I got to really break down the image and study it. It made me aware of how phony the original image looks and how I overreacted to it as a child. In some ways, it was therapeutic, but it still does something to me when I look at it. Something more than other images that are supposed to be scary. The Bat-Child is one of my most vivid memories of a frightening experience. Is it solely the image that bothers me, or is it what I experienced after seeing the image that makes me feel the way I do about the Bat-Child image? Perhaps it's a combination of both. I'll never know. Question of the day. What is one experience you had as a child where your imagination got the best of you? Comment below. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button, and if you're new to my channel, I'd love to have you subscribe. I have a lot more videos for digital artists like you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.